I have a friend who has a podcast, a big podcast, and he has like 13 people working for him. People running around with clipboards. I'm like, what do these people do?
Yeah.
Like, why do you have so many people working for you? Like, this doesn't freak you out. And he's always got like inter-office conflicts, and people are getting fired because people are fighting with each other, and people fighting over like promotions and trying to get to like backstabbing each other and like. Ugh.
So Joe Rogan just accidentally exposed YMH Studios as a toxic workplace. If you've been watching Your Mom's House, you've probably noticed it's been going downhill for a while. I think fans could tell the vibes have been off, and there's subreddits discussing how toxic it has to be working for them. Tom seems more disconnected than ever, and the fans turned on him hard after he called them pores. Then came the whole flight attendant incident where he showed his true colors, going off on someone just for doing their job. But the real shift seemed to happen when they moved to Texas. Then Dr. Drew was let go, or he left on his own accord, or maybe they just couldn't afford him. Then there's Nadav. His departure didn't feel mutual, and it definitely didn't feel like it was on good terms. But Rogan confirmed it in that clip from episode 2258 with Steve Ranella. He didn't name Tom or YMH directly, but his comment about people running around with clipboards was a dead giveaway, because he said the exact same thing back in episode 2090 with Bobby Lee, and that time he specifically mentioned YMH.
I go to Tom's. Have you been to Tom's? Cigars?
Oh, yeah.
It's like they have a real production staff.
Yeah.
There's all these people running around with clipboards, and it's like...
I went to Bert's house the other day. He had 8 people behind computers, just typing away. What the doing? Emailing what?
Social media, going crazy, promoting arena shows. Everyone's going nuts.
Me, no.
I don't want that in my life.
Why would you don't need it?
I don't want it.
You have a white guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty clear Rogan was talking about YMH being a toxic work environment. And honestly, this isn't new. About a year ago, I made a video about Nadav leaving YMH. That video covered the episode where YMH introduced AJ Soprano. Well, not really, but the guy has the same entitled attitude. In that episode, he made a bet with Nadav to run the New York City Marathon. Tom and Christina basically forced Nadav into it, dangling money as an incentive. At the time, I speculated that the whole situation was a big reason Nadav left. Not just the marathon nonsense, but also the fact that Nadav wanted to start his own thing under the YMH umbrella. Instead of supporting that, Tom went and hired the Soprano siblings. I think Nadav actually saw my video. In one of his podcasts with the current YMH employee, he addressed exactly what I was talking about.
Well, one thing I've been meaning to ask you is like, why'd you quit YMH?
Dude, I was too scared to run the marathon.
That's what I heard online. Or is like the Sopranos kid did something?
Yeah. Like it's just all the conspiracy theories. It's all every version of all of it mixed together is exactly the reason why I left. It's not at all what I said on mic. It's definitely not that.
Oh yeah, you did a whole episode on that.
Yeah, pretty much every reason that people thought that I left is the reason that I left.
Yeah.
It's hilarious that the guy that still works at YMH called Rob Eiler the Soprano kid like he has zero respect for him as well. Nadav was being vague and sarcastic, dodging any real explanation, and when he did address it, he just said he already explained everything in his departure episode. Except he really didn't. If you go back and watch that episode, all he really says is that he and YMH had outgrown each other. No specifics, no real insight, and the vibes were just really off.
As time goes on, you stay at a place for a pretty long time, and you kind of get used to just the way things are. And I think a lot of people could relate to this, but when you go into a place day after day, something just hits you at some point, and you look around and you're like, I don't think this is for me anymore. Or I don't think this. I feel like me and this place and everyone in there, we've kind of all outgrown each other.
Yeah.
And it kind of all just hit me at once. And yeah. And so, I mean, with that, it was very hard for me to come to that realization. It was very hard for me to have that talk with you guys when we did, but
that was horrible. It was a horrible moment.
I'm resigning from my position here at YMH.
It didn't seem like a clean break. It felt like something went down behind the scenes, something Nadav either didn't want to talk about or couldn't talk about. And when you put that next to what Rogan said, the picture starts getting clear.
So we got like inter-office conflicts, and people are getting fired because people are fighting with each other, and people fighting over like promotions and trying to get to like backstabbing each other, and like. Ugh.
Hats off to Nadav for not saying anything negative about YMH on his way out. I probably would have burnt that bridge. especially because Nadav helped bring YMH to YouTube, moved to Austin, produced multiple podcasts, and helped take it from one camera to a professional production. There had to be more to it than what he is saying. In that podcast with the current YMH producer, he gives more insight into what being hired is like at YMH.
It is very difficult to hire for YMH Studios.
Definitely.
Because there are so many boxes that need to be checked, and the last one almost always is the skill. It's like, are you going to be like a good hang? Like, can someone tolerate being in a room with you for 8 hours? Do you get jokes? Are you easily offended? Like, are you going to be a problem for the culture there? Because it's so fun and comedic, where it's just like, you gotta have thick skin. You gotta know that, like, sure, every now and then there's gonna be a skull cracking or a tongue lashing or whatever it is. But that's all part of a normal job. Mm-hmm. But like, can you hang with jokes? Like, are you fun at lunch? Like, and not necessarily fun, but like, are you gonna be like, hey, there should be an HR department here, you know? Like,
I can't imagine.
If I were running a business, the first thing I'd care about is whether someone actually has the skills for the job, not whether they can take a joke. Imagine working somewhere where your bosses, Tom or Bert, can tear into you at any moment and you just have to eat it. That would be demoralizing enough. But then to add the fact that YMH doesn't seem to have any real HR structure, no one to mediate and no one to step in when there's a workplace issue. That means if there's a problem, you're on your own, going up against the owners directly. Sounds really fun. 2 months before Nadav resigned, YMH introduced AJ Soprano as the newest employee. Tom and Christina basically let him walk in, get his own show, and act like he ran the place from day one, even though the podcast only averages around 25,000 views. I think if they gave that platform to Nadav, it would have at least doubled the views and cost them half as much. In the appearance with Soprano, he was the one pushing Nadav to run the New York City Marathon. It wasn't just a casual joke, it was a really toxic, pressuring attitude and is a really great example of how working at YMH is.
Not even interested in taking the bet.
Yeah, like I already don't think I could do it.
That's why the thing, okay, so the thing would be...
Like, it's not even close to me. If you gave me like 5.5, 6 hours, now I'm like, I think I could do that.
But here's how the bet goes. Me and Ennie make a money bet for you to run the marathon or whatever, and then Tom just puts up that 10K or whatever if you do it. You know what I'm saying? So you're free rolling.
Just like a bonus.
You know what I mean? So you're free rolling on 10K.
Okay.
But then me and Ennie have a bet on if you can do it or not.
But what's the time?
5.5.
No, we're going. If we're giving you till November, it's average.
Homie, I'm not average. I'm not an average
But
man.
that's the thing.
I'm not gonna.
Nadav, you can be.
Okay. Pull up the average.
Oh my God.
The exact average time.
You can do it.
That's
Nadav.
the greatest thing. Can Nadav take the next 5 months and become average? If you try as hard as you possibly can, Nadav,
I already know the answer.
Okay,
can
there
you
it is.
shock the world? and
No, I
become
can't.
average?
Sorry, I don't mean to raise my voice.
It's
I'm
all
just
right.
gambling.
It's okay. You're very fired up. I understand.
Nadav obviously didn't want to do it, but Rob kept pushing. And it wasn't just lighthearted teasing, it was straight up pressure. Not cool to mock the guy and tell him he should strive to be average when he's the one who helped build YMH from a basement setup to a legit production. But the worst part is, Tom and Christina didn't back up Nadav. Instead of supporting the guy who gave them years of his life, they piled on and took Soprano's side. That moment said a lot about how YMH really treats its employees, and the fact that Nadav was apologizing on air shows that it wasn't just a stage or scripted segment.
I've had a knee injury where I'm afraid to even make contact with the ground.
That's great. This is how the bet gets exciting. So we'll put you in some. I got some great knee braces. We'll get you the top tier stuff.
You can do that.
Guys, I'm not into this bet.
Nadav, hold on.
If it's not
you're
5.5, I'm not even considering.
You're free rolling though. He's just putting up 10K. If you do it,
I'm gonna get hurt, Rob. My body cannot take running a marathon.
Hold on.
What if train for 4 months?
What if you beat the average woman's time? You can't beat a woman?
That's an extra. No,
That's a lot of extra time.
It's a lot of extra time.
Oh yeah,
man.
an extra 26 minutes. Oh yeah.
You get a couple
lot
miles.
of women could beat me, Christina. Sorry, I'm not meaning to raise my voice.
Again, this is exactly why a company needs an HR department. Nadav never backed down from saying he wasn't healthy enough to run 26 miles in 6 hours. Even for someone with health issues, running a marathon with no training is brutal. But Tom and Christina didn't care. They ignored everything he was saying and kept pushing, because to them, it felt like it was just about getting content. And the fact that they backed the new guy over the person who helped build their entire production studio had to sting. Yet, even after all of that, Nadav was still the one apologizing the second after he raises his voice.
I'm so and
you said you were looking for motivation, and this is motivation,
I know,
and you're turning
Nadav.
it down.
What are you going to do for the rest of your life? You're just going to, because you said even just losing weight normally was hurting your back and hurting your knees. So so what's the end goal, Nadav?
Look.
I'm being serious with you,
but
man.
I'm also serious. Like, I know, I am very close to the biggest I've ever been. I don't like it, but I don't want to get hurt on the way to like getting better. Like, I'm down to lose weight, but the measurement of that being, hey, run a marathon in under 4 hours and 20 minutes.
No. But you want to lose weight.
Yes.
You love gambling.
Yes.
This is a big gamble associated with losing weight and getting healthier.
It's like everything you want.
It's everything you like.
No, because I've been seeing you smile. Like, you've been smiling a little bit every time I like say like, oh, I might throw my. You're like, yeah. Like you like it when I get hurt.
No.
So I think you're just pressuring me into situations where I get hurt because that makes you laugh.
And by the way,
No.
how are you going to throw your back out jogging? Does that happen?
I get that Tom and Christina might have just been being tough friends, joking around, but at some point it crossed the line. Because at the end of the day, Nadav wasn't just their friend, he was their employee. And you can't pressure an employee into running a marathon just because it makes for good content. They wouldn't have fired him for refusing, but they would have given him grief about it. Add dangling money in front of him to do it, then also bringing up how he likes gambling so he should do it is not cool either, because he really did go to rehab for gambling. That wasn't a joke. If they really cared about his health, they would have offered him a trainer and real support long ago, not as a marathon stunt disguised as a concern.
It's gonna be the moment you alter. We're gonna watch this video in a year. You're gonna be like, God, look how fat I was.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. I just realized though. He said yes, but what is the money situation, or is there no money in this anymore? He's just doing that, and that's just the offer.
Money would be nice.
Of course. Of course.
No.
There's still a bet here.
He
There's
just
still
won
a
his
bet.
life, but we just saved your life. You're going to be in such good shape, bro.
No, I know, and I
You're gonna
appreciate
be
that. I mean, that
fucking-
alone, like just like everything, like the last thing alone, it's like honestly, just being in good health is enough of a thing.
It's
for me.
awesome. You're gonna like the way you look.
That's gotta be really cool having the new guy walk in, call you fat, and be the reason you're suddenly being pressured into months of training just to run a marathon you never wanted to do. And then your bosses side with him and laugh at you. That's not a tough friendship. It's a disrespectful and toxic atmosphere. By the end of the podcast, when they finally got Nadav to agree to the marathon, you could clearly see he wasn't happy. He snapped at Soprano, and obviously I don't blame him. You could tell Nadav was over it, but he was stuck. Either give in or deal with the nonstop grief from his bosses.
Dude, you're gonna run Nadav, the New York City Marathon. This is rad.
Look at Nadav's face. He's really like, what the
so
is happening?
Wow.
You can't welch now, bro. Isn't that
You
when
do it.
you back out? You can't back out.
Yeah, that's the word for it.
What are you contemplating right now? Because I
Yeah.
see your wheels really turning.
How awesome you're gonna look.
The next 5 months are gonna be brutal, and I'm gonna go through a lot of pain.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's going, but with top tier like professionals
You have
around,
help.
Yeah.
it should be the greatest time of my life.
That's how I like to hear it. All
Well, if
right.
it makes you feel better, you're gonna lose $1,000 later in the week with Any's. That bet you have
Not
to
a
do with
fucking
Any.
chance, dude. I'm gonna take your money.
Let's go. I'm excited now. I'm
Yeah,
excited. My whole
That's all I got.
Ugh.